picture some movies for you and take some calls from a guest or two. So forget everything that you knew about the people in the movies, cause she has no clue. Kristy doesn't know movies. Kristy doesn't know movies. Kristy doesn't know movies.
Hey, welcome to a very special episode of Kristy Doesn't Know Movies. We're joined by our old pal Nick. How you doing, Nick?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Kristy, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm about 7 hours into my game now, at least, and I still haven't hit any paywalls.
Get off of that fucking game. It's not good
put
for
it
you.
down for now. My phone's charging.
For now.
Yeah.
Kristy, do you want to also ask Nick how he's doing, and so everybody can just ask everybody?
I mean, you already asked him how he's doing, so I assume his mood hasn't shifted since you asked him, but I'll go ahead. Nick, how you doing?
Okay.
I'm doing pretty well because I haven't lost the game yet.
You're a dick.
You're playing Tales of Krystoria too?
No. This is a game where if you think about the game, you lose the game. This is a game that we've been playing for 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Just don't worry your average little head about it.
As many of you may not know, Nick is a church pianist?
Director?
Church director.
You're not a
so
church.
we
You're a
brought in-
church music director, not a church director. You don't direct the entire church.
I can.
So we've brought in Nick's musical expertise to kind of narrate Kristy as she's going through her movies. So let us know in the comments and all that what you think about it.
All right.
Silence.
Yeah.
Kristy,
What?
this episode is themed around the church, so we're going to be focusing on some religious movies. How do you feel about that?
If VeggieTales is in there, I might be all right.
Okay. It's not.
Is VeggieTales inherently religious?
I think so.
Okay, just making sure.
Are you ready for a movie?
I am.
Nick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Kristy, what do you think 1992's Sister Act is about?
I know Whoopi Goldberg is in it. So, I believe in this movie, Whoopi Goldberg is a nun. And so, but she's a cool nun. She's
Right.
this cool, jive-talking, laid-back nun who is put in charge of youth services.
Uh-huh.
So she's working for this big, probably inner city church, and there's probably some wayward teen that she has to help out.
Okay.
And
Who plays the teen?
teen is played by... What's the name of that girl who was in Interview with the Vampire, but then she grew up and continued acting?
Drew Barrymore?
No, it wasn't Drew Barrymore. I don't know her name. Kirsten Dunst. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
She plays a wayward teen. She probably passes out drunk one night on the church steps. So Whoopi Goldberg is tasked with turning this girl's life around. It's pretty much it's like My Fair Lady, but churchly with Whoopi Goldberg. So she turns, she takes this wayward teen, and she's just these are the ways of the Lord, and she just shows this girl how to be cool yet religious-y. And then at the end, this girl joins the church choir. I feel like Whoopi Goldberg is also the only black nun, so there's probably some things that come out. Some of the sisters are probably oh, I don't like the way she jive talks, or something like that. There's definitely some really, really, really white ones there who just don't like her ways, and they're this isn't okay. Like, you can't get to the youth like that. And she's like, girl, and like just continues doing her own thing. So
Okay.
yeah, it was fairly progressive. It was a lighthearted, churchly movie. And at the end, Kirsten Dunst joins the choir. It's a really soulful choir, considering Whoopi Goldberg is the only, like, black lady there, and it's a bunch of, like, uppity nuns. Yeah. And there's the big musical number at the end. Maybe the entire thing is a musical. I couldn't tell you. But, like, there's that hit number at the end. I don't know what it's called. But people enjoyed it. It's not too preachy, which is good. Yeah, that's
Alrighty.
nothing else really to be said.
Thanks, Nick. Very nice.
You're welcome.
Moving right along. Kristy, what do you think 2007's Evan Almighty is about? And I just want to mention that we touched on Bruce Almighty in season 1, so you might want to go back and check that one out. But anyway, what do you think it's about? Evan Almighty.
Evan Almighty. So something happened to Jim Carrey because he was in the first one. And then does he turn into God at the end of the first one? I feel like in Evan Almighty was Steve Carell. I know that much.
Okay.
So Steve Carell is Evan, and so it's essentially the exact same plot as the first one. Evan's a bit of a dick. He needs to find God, who is now Jim Carrey, because I think Morgan Freeman was like, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm not doing that again. So, like, as a twist, it turned out that, like, Jim Carrey turned into God this time. And so he comes down one day and he's like, Evan, you're kind of a dick. I want you to go be good. And Evan's just like, but I enjoy being a dick. I want to continue being a dick. And also, didn't I fire you in the last movie or something? And then Jim Carrey is like, first of all, now I'm God, so deal with it. Secondly,
Right.
change that attitude or he's going to hell. So then Evan goes on like a New York City mundane fucking journey of just like mildly helping people. Like, I feel like he doesn't pick anything like huge. It's not like save a lady and her cat from like a burning building. It's more like he just kind of walks around and tells strangers like, oh, your shoe's untied, like you might want to do that. You got something in your teeth. Like, I feel like he would do the bare minimum.
Right.
The biggest thing he probably does, what year was this?
2007.
2007, the states and Hollywood were still bitter, so there's definitely some, like, terrorist plot or something. But he probably, like, stops the terrorist plot, like, barely. Like, it's questionably him who stopped it, and it was, like, barely a plot in the first place. Like, I feel like
Alrighty
anything
then.
he does to, like, redeem himself wasn't actually that good. And I also feel like no one should watch this movie because it doesn't have a very good premise. The execution is probably awful. Like, they probably had the budget for Steve Carell and for Jim Carrey, and then after that, it's just like, it's a bunch of no-name actors. Nobody wanted in on this project. Because people had seen the first one, and they were like, nah, I'll take a hard pass on that. The only person who would do it was Steve Carell, who was trying to, like, he was either trying to break away from The Office, or, like, that maybe that landed his role in The Office. I feel like this was, like...
Who knows?
I feel like he probably left The Office to do that, which was, like, a terrible decision on his part. The moral of the story is Steve Carell should stick to The Office, and that's it.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to add on that?
They'll probably be doing a reboot of the series soon, so don't look forward to that. Don't encourage it. Don't say you'll go. Don't share any posts about it. Just, if you entirely ignore the possibility of a reboot of this series, then, like, maybe they'll stop.
We can only hope. Alright, thanks, Nick. Our last movie of the episode, it's a heavy one. Maybe we can get some like slow and melancholy piano music for this one. Kristy, what do you think 1988's The Last Temptation of Christ is about?
I've never heard of this movie. 1988? Okay.
Yes.
So you said it was more like solemn. So I'm gonna guess that it's like they're trying to be historically accurate with whatever it is. They just is a live action remake of the Bible.
Okay.
Probably the New Testament because that's what people seem to enjoy more.
Right.
So a live action remake of the New Testament. This was like the precursor to Passions of the Christ. I'm sure Mel Gibson watched this movie and was like, wow, we need to do more of this. So that was his inspiration. I want to say maybe Mel Gibson's in it. Mel Gibson plays Jesus in this movie. He plays Jesus going through like his last few days. You got Susan Sarandon playing Mary Magdalene. You got... There's an all-star cast of actors. Al Pacino's probably in there somewhere. He plays Judas. And so those are the main characters that you need. All you need is Mary Magdalene, Jesus, and...
I can't get over Al Pacino as Judas.
All right, well, you're gonna have to get over it to watch this movie.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, just go.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not much to be said. It probably has like The Last Supper. Al Pacino is just like looming over Mel Gibson's shoulder the whole time. Just like, I feel like this movie had way too much foreshadowing. And also, like, you know what's gonna happen. They can't just throw in a twist. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, like, okay, if you're doing something like making a Harry Potter movie, yeah, like, you can change it up a bit, make it suck.
Yeah, you can't really take your liberties with the source material.
Yeah,
here.
I feel like that's a hard thing for like anyone who's doing a biblical movie, like a historically biblical movie. Like, you can't take your liberties. At least VeggieTales could make it more interesting. Put like the fucking cucumber and that one's like Noah. Like, right? Like, they can take their liberties, they can crack some jokes in it. But this one, it has to be like accurate. It has to be line by line. People probably thought it was fairly boring because like nobody wants to hear people talk like that anymore. And it was just quote, line for line, quote by quote, narrated from the Bible. If you're like an older person who your eyes aren't very good anymore, so you can't read the Bible and you don't want to listen to it on your cassette tape, I would say maybe see this movie. But if you're younger, just go for VeggieTales. It's got the same content, just delivered at a higher quality. You don't have to deal with Mel Gibson. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Alrighty. Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Nope.
Very good. Tune in next week. We don't know what we're doing yet, but I'm sure it'll be fantastic. I'd like to thank Nick for joining us.
No problem.
I don't have to thank Kristy because she's always here. She just never leaves.
You've never thanked me. Not once have I got your goddamn thanks.
And you never will, as long as you keep talking about fucking freemium games.
Stop calling it like freemium, like that's a bad thing.
Sorry,
it
what's the
is.
game called again, Kristy? Can you
Oh, it's
tell
called
me?
Tales of Crestoria. You should join my guild, the Avegners. Because right
Stop.
now it's only me. And it's kind of
Stop.
sad.
That game sounds great.
It is.
Nick. All right. Thanks for listening,
All right.
folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.